And yes, my little one is in my arms as I record this. So if you hear a tiny voice or a co host babble, just know it's all part of this mom power. Now, today we are going back in time, way back to the 1940s and 50s, when food was tight, rationing was real, and creativity in the kitchen wasn't just trendy, it was essential, right? And although it's essential, the baby's cries are usually when I'm not talking for whatever reason. Bear with me, you all. All right, I'm back in action. So today we are going to go back in time, way back to the 1940s. Okay, you guys, if you know my channel a little bit, you know I'm all old school. Okay, so we're going to go back to the 1940s and 1950s when food was tight, rationing was real, and creativity in the kitchen wasn't just trendy, it was essential. These are 5 delicious and simple recipes from that era that you still can make today with what you've got on hand or easily improvise if you're missing a thing or two. So let's jump right in it. If you have a pen and paper, please grab it because this program is all about folks tuning in and listening, not just visualizing things, listening. Visualize it on your paper in the front of you, but right now here we're listening. So the first recipe up here is the war era potato cakes. War era potato cakes, okay? You need 2 cups of mashed potato. They could be leftovers. And every once in a blue, I'll take a pause here because, you know, moms with babies here. So this is mainly a mom episode. So we'll do a quick pause and come back to the ingredients in war era potato cakes. Hello, welcome to the program, Molly Folly 124. Pause, quick pause, be right back. Okay, I'm back here. And for the war era potato cakes, you need 2 cups of mashed potatoes. Leftovers work great. You need 1 small onion, finely chopped. You need 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of flour or oatmeal if you are low on flour. And then, of course, you need salt and pepper, some bacon grease or lard for frying, or if you have butter or oil. Now, again, the ingredients, ladies, is 2 cups of mashed potatoes. Leftovers work great. Make sure that you guys are writing this down. If there was a cyber attack, can't use your phone, you want to be able to write this stuff down. You need 1 small onion chopped, 1 egg. Welcome, Robar. Welcome. And you need 2 tablespoons of flour or oatmeal if you are low on flour, and salt and pepper, some bacon grease or lard for frying. Um, How do you prepare these potato cakes? Well, you mix the mashed potatoes together with the onion, the egg, the flour, and your seasoning until it's well combined. Mix it all good together. Heat a grease pan, whatever you have available, a cast iron pan. I have cast iron, but I was hesitant on saying that because some folks do not use cast iron anymore, and some people do. So, anywho's, you want to drop some spoonfuls of this and flatten them just a little bit and fry them until they're golden brown on both sides and serve it hot. Just that simple. Very simple recipe. Sometimes You just don't want to think of anything, and you don't want to think of anything that's complicated, especially when you have little ones. But you can improvise too as well. Let's say you don't have an egg. You can add a splash of milk and a spoonful of extra flour. Let's say you don't have onion. You can use chives, or you can just skip it, period, right? Let's say you don't have any grease. You can pan fry in a dry skillet. Just flip more often to avoid sticking. That's all. You can improvise a little bit of everything. You can improvise with a little bit of everything. Okay, so another recipe I have for you guys, recipe number 2, my lady listeners and my guy listeners who like to cook stuff on a budget but cheap. Okay, so the second recipe from the 1940s and 1950s, old school here on this radio, is milkless, eggless, butterless cake. It's a wartime cake. You need 1 cup of brown sugar. Sometimes you just want something sweet. If you have it on hand, try to make it. So 1 cup of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of water, 1 cup of raisins, 1/3 cup of shortening or oil, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon if you have it, half a teaspoon of cloves if you have it, half a teaspoon of salt, you should have it, and 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Again, you need 1 cup of brown sugar, so make sure you're writing this stuff down, 1.5 cups of water, 1 cup of raisins, 1/3 cup of shortening or oil, a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of cloves, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now, first, you boil the sugar with water, the raisins, oil, and spices for 5 minutes. Then you let it cool. Let it cool down. Then you mix in the dry ingredients. Then you pour it into a greased loaf pan and you bake at 350. Hi, Dee Dee. Hi, RHB. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for listening to the program. So, again, the instructions for this wonderful, easy wartime cake. You're going to boil the sugar, the water, the raisins, the oil, and spices for 5 minutes. You're going to let it cool off. Then you're going to mix in the dry ingredients, and then you're going to pour into greased loaf pan. So any type of loaf pan that you have, you're going to grease that loaf pan, and you're going to bake the cake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes. Now, let's say you have no sugar, no brown sugar. Well, you can use white sugar and add a tablespoon of molasses if you have it. If you don't have any raisins, you can try chopped apples if you have it, carrots, or even prunes. I would go as far as even saying fig, because sometimes if you deal with the pantries and you get food for your family, they'll give you sometimes figs or dates, so you can use that. Let's say you don't have any shortening. Well, you can use vegetable oil or leftover bacon fat will do as well. A third recipe is Depression-era tomato gravy on toast. Don't knock it until you try it. The ingredients that you need is 1 can of tomatoes or 2 cups of chopped fresh tomato. Okay, you need 2 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of fat, lard, butter, or bacon grease will work. You need some salt and pepper and some sugar to taste and some day-old bread. Toast it, okay? Again, the ingredients for the Depression-era tomato gravy on toast. It's actually better than what you think, and you can add different things into it too. So you need one. It's kind of like having like a spaghetti sauce on a piece of bread. Now, if you have extra, let's say, I'll tell you the improvisions. It's just one moment. I have a child that I'm trying to entertain that's almost 1 year old. But I'm here indeed. Okay, so you need 1 can of tomato, and plus he's tired too. He's ready to go to sleep. So anywho's, thank you all for staying tuned in here. So I have a co-host on the side. So as I'm giving recipes with a co-host. soon I will take a quick break for this co-host in just a moment. Anyways, um, you need 1 can of tomatoes or 2 cups of chopped fresh tomatoes. You need 1 tablespoon of flour. Okay, you need 2 tablespoons of fat of lard or butter or bacon grease, whatever you have on hand. You need some salt, pepper, and sugar to taste. Some day old bread to toast it. Make like a rouge with flour and the fat, right? And then you're gonna stir it until it's golden brown. And then you're gonna add the tomatoes, and then you're gonna cook until it's thickened. And then you can add a pinch of sugar just to cut the acidity. And then you season it well. And then you can pour it over toasted bread. Now, here's some improvisation tips. If you don't have any canned tomatoes, you can use a little bit of ketchup with water. Let's say you don't have any toast. You can serve over biscuits, rice, or even mashed potatoes. It tastes really good. Don't knock it until you try it. And if you have a little bit of ground beef, go ahead and throw it in there too. You could throw it on top of it. Number 4 is cabbage and noodles, Haluski style. Now you need a half a head of cabbage chopped up. You need a half an onion chopped. And then you need 2 tablespoons of fat. Again, lard, butter, whatever you got on hand, just whatever you have. You need 2 cups of cooked egg noodles. And then you need some salt and pepper. That's it. That basic. Again, what you need is you need a half a head of cabbage chopped up, half of onion chopped, 2 tablespoons of any type of fat you have on hand. You need 2 cups cooked egg noodles, and you need salt and pepper. So what you do is you fry the onion and cabbage in your oil or your lard, whatever you got going on, until it's soft and brown. And then you toss it with the hot noodles, and then you season and you serve. So you cook the noodles separate. Remember, you have cooked noodles. Is why I mentioned cooked noodles, because you're going to do it separate, of course. Add the noodles to the cabbage. Now, let's say you have no noodles. You can use rice. You can use boiled potatoes, or torn up bread, whatever you have. If you don't have any fat on hand, you can boil the cabbage and onion in salted water and drizzle with a touch of oil. Do that too as well. The 5th recipe that I have for you all tonight is cream chipped beef on toast. Okay. They called it SOS back in the days. I don't need to be extra with it, but cream chipped beef on toast, really, really good. 2 tablespoons of butter, and I actually loved it a lot when I was a kid. My grandmother made it for me a lot. My mom made it for me a lot. It was really, really good. So again, it's chipped beef on toast for those of you just jumping in. And remember that my lives are always available just a few minutes after I'm out and I'm done streaming. So 2 tablespoons of butter or grease. You need 2 tablespoons of flour. You need 1.5 cups of milk, or a little bit less milk if you only have a little bit. You need a half a cup of chopped dried beef, or whatever type of beef you have, some lunch meat, or even hot dogs sliced thinly if you have some hot dogs, okay? And you need some toast. So you make like a rouge with it, okay? You make a rouge with butter and flour, like I just mentioned, and you slowly whisk in milk until it's thickened. That's it. So let's say you don't even know how to cook. Just slowly stir in the milk, whisk it in until the whole rouge is thickened. Then that's when you add your beef and you cook it through, and then you spoon that over toast. What I would suggest when it comes to the meat, yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Dee Dee. Thank you. I appreciate you stopping in. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you. And everybody say bye to Dee Dee. All right. So once that sauce is thickened, what I would suggest is make your beef separate. If you have raw beef, just make it separate. Make sure that you suck out that oil out of that beef, whatever the case may be. Make sure that it's cooked well. And then add that beef into the rouge once it's done cooked. And then mix it all together. Now, let's say you don't have any milk. You can use powdered milk, or you can use broth with just a little bit of flour. It'll give you the same rouge. Let's say you don't have any beef. You can use tuna. You can use Spam, or any type of leftover meat that you have, really. So that is it. So whether you are stretched thin this week, listeners, watching Every Dollar, or just trying to cook like grandma used to, these 1940s and 1950s meals are tasty proof that simple food can still be soul food. And hey, if you made it through this episode with my little co-host chatting in the background, bless your heart. That's real life, man, where moms we're multitasking, and we're still showing up with love. So if you try one of these, please drop me a comment below, tag me, or message me in your own version. And let's keep these vintage traditions alive. One bite and one baby giggle at a time. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.